Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. Just a reminder, starting on the 20th, which is Friday, through the 27th, you can get all of my products 40% off. And it's on all three stores. Promo code The Most High New Year's 26. You'll use that on Shopify and Etsy, and you get an automatic 40% discount at checkout on the TikTok shop. So take advantage, get everything at a really good price. So, y'all, well, a top official just abruptly quit the Trump administration. He was a counterterrorism official and a MAGA supporter of Donald Trump's. And he took this position and decided, no, I can't go along with this war that Donald Trump started. And he turned on Donald Trump and he quit. Am I surprised? No, I expect more people to leave. And I really do believe more people are leaving, but they're trying to keep it out of the news. And if you heard recently, the FCC chair is trying to pull the license of any news station that's reporting on the Iran war. Donald Trump is trying real hard to keep everything about this war out of the news because Donald Trump is losing. And he knows he's losing. He think because over the last week he's been on the media virtually every day talking about we already won, there's nothing left to bomb, we took them all out. I said, you sound like a kid playing a video game. This ain't no game, this is people's lives, and you're sitting here on TV refusing to tell the truth about this war. Donald Trump is losing. He is losing. Netanyahu is losing. And instead of admitting it now, you're using the federal chair of the FCC to do your dirty work for you. See, this is the problem and the reason why no president should have nothing but a bunch of yes men around them. You need that opposing mind every now and then because, see, that person may have thought of something that you didn't think about. But when you got a bunch of yes people around you, then there's no original thought. All they're going to do is go along with you because, number one, they probably fear Donald Trump. That's why they go along with him. And so he got no one around him to say, look, you need to tell the public the truth about what's happening. All right. No allies is joining Donald Trump in trying to control the Straits of Hormuz. And he keeps getting on the news talking about other countries will soon join. They all said no. They all said no. And he's sitting on TV talking about they're going to be joining us soon. I mean, this is at the point where it's absolutely ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And ladies and gentlemen, these people never run out of lies. People like Donald Trump, they never run out of lies. And you know what? When it's all said and done, everything we have been told by these folks in our lifetime has been a lie. And wait until you see how much lying they have done to us in a lifetime. I'm sure it's endless. How do you join a person like that in war? These other countries, you would have to be absolutely out of your mind to trust Donald Trump, to trust anything his administration say, to believe he's a man of his word. You'd have to be a fool to believe it. I wouldn't join Donald Trump just on the simple fact that I can't trust Donald Trump. I can't trust JD Vance. You can't trust Stephen Miller. See, you want these kind of people around you, but nobody that got their mind together is going to trust these people. And it also tells you Donald Trump don't care who he has to sacrifice. Don't let nobody, if you can stop the people in your family from going over there, stop them. Nobody should be shedding their blood for a pathological liar. No, no. And at this point, yeah, because, I've been following the stuff with Netanyahu, and you notice Donald Trump is not telling anybody about his whereabouts either. You went in war with Netanyahu. People have been saying he disappeared a couple of weeks ago, and even Donald Trump is sitting on the info and won't tell where Netanyahu is. So people are supposed to put themselves on the line for the two of you. Wow. Wow. Even if you didn't hear from Netanyahu, what's stopping Donald Trump from saying, what's going on with them? He runs his mouth about everything else. So, y'all, well, Donald Trump didn't go radio silent, one of many ancestral shadows. He can tell what happened. Oh, Netanyahu's out of the country, or Netanyahu is doing this or doing that. Or I just recently spoke to him. Nothing. Donald Trump can open his mouth about it too. But they're all on code. All of them. They're all on code. And you see the difference, y'all? When the Ayatollah was unalive, Iran didn't hesitate to tell the world. They came right out to tell the world he was gone. That, he lost his life in a missile strike. Iran did not hesitate to tell the world what happened to their supreme leader. But with Netanyahu, nobody's telling. Even his partner in crime, Donald Trump, ain't even opening his mouth. It says a lot about who's more trustworthy than who. It really does. But at the end of the day, you can't give it all to Iran because they're Gentiles too. Yeah, maybe to a certain degree, but not all the way. No. And plus, another thing Iran is doing, they're being honest about how many of their people were unalive. Yesterday, I heard it's up to about 1,300 people in Iran lost their life. And these mofos are still sticking with only 13 soldiers have been unalive. They're still on these exceptionally low numbers. Won't even tell you the injuries. Just 13. That's it. Just 13. So, y'all, all I can say is don't expect the truth from Israel or America at this point. You can't trust either country. Can't trust them. So, Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
This is truly crazy breaking news. Joe Kent, the top counterterrorism official, just resigned over the Iran war, saying that Iran posed no imminent threat to the United States prior to the war. He said he cannot, in good conscience, back the Trump administration in the war in Iran. He said on social media that Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. This is really huge, you guys. The Trump administration at this point is truly falling apart. It is a house of cards. There are multiple defectors. There are people wanting to go on public record and make these kinds of statements because they do not want to be tied long term into what could potentially constitute to war crimes. This is not good for Trump. This is also not good for the future of the Republican Party. And I simply think that with the economic damage that is still incoming, we have barely seen the tip of this iceberg at this point. I think that the Trump administration has no chance of turning this around.
The president is dealing with the first major defection from his administration over his decision to go to war in Iran. Joe Kent, the director of the National Counterterrorism Center in the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, posted his resignation letter to President Trump online this morning, saying, quote, "I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby." Kent went on to say that he believes high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media deployed a misinformation campaign, creating an echo chamber that deceived Trump into believing that there was a clear path to swift victory. This was a lie, Kent wrote. Now, he said that as a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times and as a Gold Star husband who lost his wife to what he calls a war manufactured by Israel, Kent cannot support sending the next generation to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people. Now, Kent's late wife, Shannon Kent, was a Navy officer, military cryptologist, linguist, and intelligence team member who was killed in a suicide bombing in Syria in 2019. Now, we expect to see Kent's boss, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, testify on Capitol Hill later this week in a long-scheduled hearing on worldwide threats. The resignation will likely be a central piece of questioning from Democrats in that hearing, and we'll watch to see how the president handles questions about it if he gets them in the Oval Office in just a couple of minutes, guys.
You stop me if you heard this before. Another top official just resigned because of this jackass in the office. Yeah, we are quickly becoming completely alone. Just nobody's going to help us at all. And they shouldn't, quite frankly. They shouldn't. You know, we got ourselves into this mess. I mean, not we, but you know, this is what a number of people apparently voted for. Yeah. You know, today's election day in my state and many states around. And I'm thinking it's probably going to go the way that we all suspect it's going to go, but I'm beginning to wonder if it's just too late. You know, and by the way, resigning, I mean, this guy was appointed by you-know-who as well. And he's like, nope, can't do it, can't good in conscience, continue to do this because of the war in Iran. What does resigning do? You know, maybe do something and have a spine when you're actually in the office. Maybe that would help. Maybe I just stare out my window and hope for a better future. Maybe that'll help. Or I could just resign. I am resigned. I think we all are.
Ken, let's start with this big resignation. We saw a number of intelligence and military officials break with Trump in his first term. How significant is this now from Joe Kent?
Good morning. Well, this is hugely significant because Joe Kent represents a wing of the MAGA movement that is incredibly disenchanted with this war in Iran. You're seeing it on social media, but now you're seeing an actual resignation by a senior member of the administration. The National Counterterrorism Center is a very important agency, particularly at a time when the threat level from the Iran war has been heightened. And we've seen, for example, ISIS-inspired attacks and attacks on synagogues in recent days. And Joe Kent has always been a controversial figure. He was a veteran of the Army Special Forces, and he really represented that sort of non-interventionist wing of the MAGA movement. And also to allege it publicly that essentially the U.S. was goaded into this war because of the Israel lobby, that is a huge statement. It's a controversial statement. There are people, there are MAGA supporters who have made that allegation. Of course, it said that essentially Israel jammed the Trump administration into doing this because Israel was going to attack. And Donald Trump even made some statements that made people think that that could have been a possibility. He later walked them back. Trump officials have said, look, this is a joint operation with Israel. They are hand in glove. They are together with the same strategic objectives here. But to have Joe Kent walk away and publicly essentially accuse Israel of drawing the United States into a war and to proclaim that there's no imminent threat, and he sees all the intelligence, by the way, that is a huge, huge deal on him.
Joe Kent said, I don't want no part of this, huh? If you don't know who Joe Kent is, Joe Kent was a anti or counterterrorism person and advisor for the White House. He described in a tweet, seems like that's the official thing nowadays. He resigned because he said that Iran posed no imminent threat to the United States. This war was only brought on by pressures from Israel and their powerful American lobby. Imagine that. So there's another chink in the armor here. I wonder what Netanyahu has on Trump beyond what we already know. Like, he must have some confirming, damning information for this man and the AIPAC group and everybody else to just disregard everything American and follow in line with Israel. But let me know what y'all think, because this ain't the first one and it won't be the last, because you can't justify it. And all money ain't good money, clearly. But hopefully y'all went and voted.
Well, and welcome to another day in the United States of unnecessary war plays. As a matter of fact, the unnecessary war plays were so unnecessary that today, Joe Kent announced his resignation as the director of National Counterterrorism Center. He said the pressure from Israel had pushed President Trump into a war against Iran that was completely unnecessary, hun. It's not a good look when the head of your counterterrorism intelligence in the CIA says, let me get the fuck on out of here today because I told everybody up here that we weren't supposed to do this shit there, and they did it anyway. So yeah, let me pack my shit and skedaddle on out of here today. That's exactly what happened. And who can blame him after watching the pedo-in-chief yesterday ramble on and on and on and on and on? He said Gavin Newsom was the president. He said you got to start World War III to prevent World War III. He told everybody about Susie Wiles's breast cancer. He told everybody about Mike Dunn's terminal heart failure problem, hun. Then he went on and on about the ballroom and the curtains and the marble bathrooms and the white painted columns and the gold plated bullshit. You know, he had all kind of things to say. You know what he didn't mention in all that rambling and mumbling and bullshit yesterday? He didn't mention those 13 service members who passed away. He completely skipped his feeble mind while trying to defend his little war plans, which he barely talked about. Just a little bit. He was more concerned with letting the American people know all the money he spent, you know, on the marble and gold-plated shit. You know, and he talked about redoing the Kennedy Center because I don't know about you. When I can't afford my home, my food, or my gas boob, my main concern of the day is where the elites will go watch a play. You know what I mean? Like, that's really fucking important to me. You know, anyway, while we're talking about resignations today, you know, let me throw another cup in this brew for all of you. Gregory Bavino, who led the Minnesota operation, says he is retiring end of March. He was already demoted in January, over the killing of innocent Americans in the streets of Minnesota. And now he's just going to retire altogether at the end of March. Not because he's in fear of losing his job that he was demoted to, boo. The reason he's retiring today is to avoid those charges that are coming his way. That investigation, you see, there's an investigation at play with little Gregory. I talked about it about a week or so ago, baby. He said some anti-Semitic things to a judge, and he was under investigation for those statements, as if we needed an investigation to see that he's anti-Semitic. I mean, he literally cosplays SS soldiers, baby, and he loves to throw the little saluty dudes. So, yeah, he's retiring so that little investigation just goes away. Kind of like Cosplay Christie. They thought if they removed her from the Department of Homeland Security, if they fired her and gave her some made-up position at the Shield of America, that little investigation into her, stealing all that money would just go away. Wrong. Turns out you can be a private citizen and get sued and get in trouble too. That's how that works. So, Gregory, it's not going to make it easier for you in a future day just because you decided to step down and go away. You're a private citizen now. There is no protection for you for all the crimes you've committed. So I suggest when you retire, you move to an island somewhere, baby. Because when people see you out in the streets, if you show your ass, honey, outside of your white sheets, daddy can't protect you. Just saying, Gregory. Just saying, Gregory. Anyway, let more of the rats scurry from the sinking ship today. Bless their hearts. They believed a man whose breath smells like a fucking fart.
The top counter-terrorism official in the United States has walked out in protest against the war on Iran. This is what Joe Kent writes. After much reflection, I've decided to resign from my position as director of the National Counterterrorism Center, effective today. So this is Tuesday. I cannot, in good conscience, support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no immediate threat to our nation, and it's clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. So it's a big accusation he's making. He goes on talking about how he's a veteran and a Gold Star husband who lost his wife in what he calls a manufactured war by Israel. He says, I cannot support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people, nor justifies the cost of American lives. We'll await to hear what the White House and President Trump has to say about this. So far, haven't heard anything from them.
Good morning, everyone. It's your girl Breezy, and this is The Brief. Here's what developed overnight. We begin with major developments out of Washington. A top U.S. counterterrorism official has resigned over the ongoing war with Iran, stating in his resignation that Iran posed no imminent threat to the United States. The resignation is adding to growing debate over the justification for the conflict as military operations continue across the region. Meanwhile, the war itself continues to escalate. Israel says it carried out strikes that killed 2 senior Iranian figures, including a top security advisor and a leader within the Basij militia, marking another significant shift in the conflict. Oil prices remain elevated this morning, holding above the $100 mark per barrel as attacks on energy infrastructure and ongoing shipping disruptions continue to impact global markets. Activity around the Strait of Hormuz remains tense, with no major resolution overnight. Shipping traffic is still limited as security concerns continue. In the region, Iraq is now working to secure alternative routes for oil exports, including discussions around reopening a pipeline through Turkey to bypass current disruptions. Here in the United States, a powerful winter storm is impacting parts of the Midwest and East, bringing heavy snow, strong winds, and dangerous travel conditions. And in Washington, the Supreme Court is set to review a major immigration case involving temporary protected status for migrants from countries including Haiti and Syria, a decision that could affect thousands currently living in the U.S. This has been your morning brief. And again, I'd like to say that in moments like this, we should keep the people impacted most in our thoughts, hopes, and prayers. Now, I will be back tonight with any updates as these stories continue to develop. Stay informed, like, share, follow, and you all have a wonderful day.
Massive breaking news. One of Donald Trump's top officials has resigned in disgust over the Iran war. Now, this is just a few moments ago, where Donald Trump's director of the National Counterterrorism Center, Joseph Kent, has resigned, and he issued a very powerful letter in saying that I cannot, in good conscience, support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. Yeah, that's not just some random person on Twitter making that claim. That is the director of the National Counterterrorism Center. That is somebody in the know who is essentially just letting the cat out of the bag that we did this because we were pressured by somebody else. Something Trump promised he would not do, and here it is, he did it. Before anybody applauds Joe Kent, he stood by Donald Trump's side through everything else. It's only now that he's growing a conscience. I guess better late than never. But these people were yes men all along. But now we know for sure why we're in Iran.
Breaking news, dementia Donald Israel First Trumpstein has just been humiliated by one of the few patriots within his executive, Joe Kent, American patriot, now former director of the Counterterrorism Intelligence Agency, and patriot Joe Kent has just resigned, stating that he cannot work for a government which puts our country in danger, our troops in danger, over a foreign nation, Israel, a country the size of New Jersey, by promoting a useless and foolish war with Iran. Joe Kent said in a statement, "It has become clear that Iran posed no threat to us. There's no evidence of that. And this war was all to placate the Israel lobby." Now let's sit back and see Dementia Israel First Don Trumpstein whine about this on Truth Social.
Breaking news this morning, we just learned, get this, the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, Joe Kent, has just announced he's resigning. CNN national security reporter Zachary Cohn is joining us right now. Zachary, what more can you tell us about this dramatic development?
Yeah, Wolf, this appears to be a significant resignation at the senior-most levels of the Trump intelligence community. This is Joe Kent. He was the director of the National Counterterrorism Center. He appearing to post on X a resignation letter that he submitted, citing misgivings over the Trump administration's decision to launch its war with Iran. Now, Kent, in this letter, writes in part, quote, "As a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times and as a Gold Star husband who lost my beloved wife, Shannon, in a war manufactured by Israel, I cannot support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people, nor justifies the cost of American lives." Now, Kent, in his apparent post on X, does also seem to suggest that there was no imminent threat, that it has been used and cited by the Trump administration as justification for launching this war against Iran. He says that essentially the administration manufactured this idea of an imminent threat, and that is part of the reason why he's deciding to resign from his post today.
Trust me, more resignations are coming. It's going to be a lot leaving the Trump administration. Those that stick around to the very end, I think those are going to be the ones that get arrested and charged with war crimes. That's what I believe is going to happen. The ones that are getting out while they can, they may escape it. But the ones that hang in there and endure to the end with Donald Trump, y'all going to be in for something. For real. But, you know, there were a lot of people that allowed Donald Trump to do this, including Congress and the Senate. So it'll be a lot of heads rolling. But hey, as long as it's their heads, I'm good. I'm glad a lot of our people are not involved in any of the decision making about this war. Donald Trump did not want us in his cabinet. All praises to the Most High. And so those that go down will look like Donald Trump. Yes, they will. So I'm good. I'm fine with that. Perfectly fine. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. I got another live, and I think y'all going to get a kick out of this. Donald Trump did a press conference from the Oval Office and called Gavin Newsom president. He said, President Gavin Newsom. And of course, the press caught what he said. And no, he was criticizing him. And that came out of his mouth. And it was like, Donald Trump, you do realize you're the president. So all I got to say is that dementia that Donald Trump has, y'all are not going to be able to contain that forever. You can barely contain it now. So I will see you at 4:45. Shalom, family.